Glad you're here with me to learn some more Torah. Tazria is the parsha this week. And to begin with an idea that you know and we have learned time and again that a surface meaning of the text yields almost nothing, that the Torah is asking for us to dive deeply into it and ask, what does this really mean? What is the import of it? How do I understand this in context of the things that came before, context of the things that came after, in connection with ideas that are only connective tissue through specific words that are repetitive in the text? So this week, we're reading Tazria, which is the bane of most rabbis' existence, because how do you find interest and develop meaning from assessing skin lesions or imperfections of the body, or sometimes that which is called, in certain translations of this week's reading, leprosy? What's the meaning of all of this? So let's dive deep. We already know that there is depth here. So in the 13th chapter of Leviticus, we find the following statement that the Kohen, the priest, is supposed to go out and make assessments about what he sees when people come out with some sort of disease that needs to be diagnosed and then dealt with. So the Kohen goes out and he says, the Torah says about it, L'chol ma'eh einei haKohen, that everything that the Kohen looks at. No, what does he look at? He looks at the body. What is the assessment? There's a paucity of understanding of material of what he's actually supposed to do by looking at the individual who's so afflicted. So the Talmud fills in the gaps by saying he shouldn't go out on a cloudy day because his vision is going to be impeded. And if he has bad vision, he shouldn't be responsible to make these kinds of assessments. Drilling down yet a little bit deeper, what does this mean for your life and mine? That when we look at people, we look at the surface and we leave it at that. They dress wrong, they talk wrong, they express ideas that we don't truck with, all kinds of things that we make snap judgments about the person without really diving deeply and understanding who they are, where they come from, what motivates them, what makes them happy, what makes them sad. And once we understand those things, our understanding of the individual is so heightened that we no longer make those snap judgments. We can understand why they said what they said, why they do what they do. In the Pirkei Avot, which is a part of the Mishnah, it says, Al tistakal b'kankan ela ma sheyesh bo. Don't look at the bottle, but look at what's inside of the bottle. It's not referring to wine or liquor or anything. It's referring to the way that we make snap judgments about people. We look at a person and we make up our mind about them. And that is the wrong way. Judgmentalism is a double-edged sword. We should be judgmental about people. If they do bad things or they say bad things, they act in a way that hurts other people or hurts themselves or hurts you, yeah, you make a judgment about that, and that is worthy and appropriate. But the judgmentalism that usually follows us throughout our life is not that kind of judgmental. We judge people to be stupid or ugly, or we judge them to be handicapped in some way or stupid. We make all kinds of judgments, and those filter the way that we see an individual. I know this has happened to you. It certainly has happened to everyone whom I know, including myself, many times over. We see a person, we make a judgment about them, and then after a while we get to know them, we take the time to talk to them, and we discover something about them that wouldn't be apparent on a surface level. And when we know these things about who they are, where they come from, suddenly their life and their meaning becomes clear. And we understand why they said what they said and why they do what they do. And that judgmentalism has completely disappeared because we have bothered to take the time to look at them very carefully. There's a story that I want to share with you that is found in the Talmud about a rabbi that was walking on the road. He was met by Elijah the prophet, Eliyahu Hanavi. And the rabbi looked at this disheveled man who always travels around in disguise, and he says, "You're ugly. You're an ugly man." And Eliyahu Hanavi, in his disguise, says, "Well, you should complain to my maker about that." And the rabbi thinks for a moment, "My goodness, I've committed a terrible sin." He's saying, this is the way that God made him, and I had the temerity to tell him that he was ugly? I've been put in my place. And then he begged forgiveness of the individual. I think the story has great import for our lives, the way we live our lives, the way we interact with other people. Be very careful about making judgments about people, because A, they're making judgments about you that are probably way off base, so we shouldn't do the same. And secondly, get to know them. And you'll probably find out that that first judgment that you made about them, way off base.